Hello, I'm Susan King. I'm the Dean of the School of Journalism and Mass Communication here at UNC Chapel Hill with one of our top alums, Bryan Tucker. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Class of '93, J School grad.
That's right.
Head comedy writer for Saturday Night Live.
Not head, but one of a senior writer, we'll say.
Okay, yeah. One of the top guys.
Yep.
Now, so all those people out there who say, I always knew journalism was a joke, we'll say, aha.
That's right.
But you were interested in news from the earliest days, right?
Absolutely. Always, got a newspaper in my house. Always, read it. I grew up in Richmond, so we got the Richmond Times-Dispatch and the News Leader, which was Jeff MacNelly's home paper in the 70s.
Right.
Didn't pursue a career in journalism after graduation, but always kept my love of news, which helps me in my job now because I have to keep up with the news and have to write for, sketches around current events.
One quick question about Jeff MacNelly, since you are here on campus for the Jeff MacNelly Lecture tonight.
That's right.
He, of course, you were 93. He was a class at the end of the 60s, won his Pulitzer Prizes in Richmond. Was he somebody that you did look at? Did you know his name? Did you look at those political cartoons? Did they influence you?
Yes, absolutely. And I talk a little bit about this in my speech. I always liked editorial cartoons because they help distill, what was happening in a way that a 9 or 10-year-old could enjoy it, even if I didn't quite know some of the references. And I also, I'm sure I must have seen some of Jeff MacNelly's cartoons when I was growing up, but I'm 100% sure that I read Shoe. I love the comics page, and Shoe was one of my favorite comics on there because I could tell that it was a little smarter, a little more savvy than some of the other, Beetle Bailey or Dagwood. It was nice that in 1991, my very first journalism class was with Jim Shoemaker. And so I actually got to meet the man behind the bird, which was cool.
And he was an inspiration to Jeff MacNelly.
Yep. Yep, and many journalism grads.
Absolutely. So editorial cartooning, of course, has been part of the great American journalistic tradition, really.
Yeah.
And as you say, distilled really complicated and big news ideas in a way that people could connect.
Yep.
Comedy as a television experience and sort of a satire is kind of new in at least the last 50 years, 40 years maybe.
Yeah.
Did you know there was a world out there for you in that, or did it just evolve?
I always wanted there to be a world out there for me. I just didn't know if I could find my place in it. I always loved that stuff. I was a big SNL fan growing up. Even shows like, I would watch stand-up comedians like Steve Martin. I would watch Living Color when I was, in high school, and then my first couple years here. This was, I absolutely was into satire and would write satirical pieces, sometimes for the art section of the Daily Tar Heel when I was here, and also would do satirical sketches on Saturday Night Live. I imagine they weren't nearly as smart or savvy as some of the things that professional people were doing, but at least I was taking those baby steps to get on my way.
Now, you were a stand-up comedian. You seem such a mild-mannered, nice guy. I mean, I think you have to have a lot of ego to get on a stage like that.
It's true.
What motivated you to do that?
Maybe there's more ego underneath here than you might see at first glance. Also, I think age has mellowed me. When I was in college, I was a lot more about getting people to pay attention to me, and that was one great way to do it. It was, I still have that in me, but because of some of my professional success, but mostly because of my personal success, getting married and having good friends, a lot of that kind of inner need to be noticed has been satiated.
You have been noticed. You are noticed.
Here and there, thank you. Here and there.
What I love about the kind of work that you do is that you have to know the news to get the jokes.
That's true.
And it is so engaging. obviously I'm a news junkie.
Yep.
You've got to be a news junkie. What do you do every day to keep yourself on top of what's going on?
I definitely read something, 2 or 3 sites. I wouldn't say newspapers, although we do get the New York Times and the New Yorker and Newsweek up until it stopped being Newsweek. But I read sites like Slate and Andrew Sullivan's blog and Ezra Klein's blog and the Washington Post, and I love columnists like David Brooks and a lot of the New York Times columnists. I absolutely spend at least half an hour, if not an hour, every day, trying to absorb that. That's something that I've mostly had since high school, and it has only grown as I've gone. The journalism school, the journalism school helps that grow and blossom, but you kind of have to have that. What the journalism school really helped with was just writing clearly and concisely and taking the news and turning it into something that everyone could understand. This was not something I understood right when I graduated, but it's something that slowly dawned on me the longer I've been writing and the more I've had a career, is the lessons that I had 20 years ago here, I absolutely use every day. In terms of just writing with brevity, writing with clarity. There's so much to news writing that can also be applied to joke writing.
So I have to just take this opportunity for a commercial break then.
Sure.
All those students who say, 153 news writing, I hate it. What do I
Yeah.
have to take this course for?
Right.
You're saying you need it and use it every day.
I do. I didn't like it when I had it either. But yes, absolutely. I feel like the UNC school especially is a real fundamental school. With news writing and with reporting, the fact that everybody has to take it, the fact that you have to have, go take the spelling and grammar test, which I guess is not spelling anymore, but word usage and grammar test.
Exactly.
The fact that you have to have a certain GPA, all goes into giving you that hard fundamental background that really you can use for, a lot of different things. As I said, I didn't understand it at the time, but good writing can be applied to almost any profession. So.
In fact, writing is a fundamental for comedy and television.
Absolutely.
And just about everything that you
Absolutely.
have to
Communicating, which is, what we do, even if it's communicating funny ideas.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were talking about your news digest every day online, do you watch television?
Here and there. I'll definitely watch, in terms of the news, I watch television moments. If someone's giving a speech, if there's a debate, if there's a trial verdict, or something that comes up that I kind of want to feel like I can be a part of as it's happening. I do feel like there are still those moments where, collectively everyone gathers around the TV and watches. Most of the time, I will read about something, and then if there's an embedded video with a congressman talking or a news person talking or whatever, I'll watch it. But TV is, I hate to say, not the first place I go anymore.
The daily ritual of morning television or evening TV, not part of your repertoire necessarily.
Not as news.
Right, because you can get it elsewhere.
Yep. But,
and on demand.
Yeah, but if I don't watch Brian Williams, I definitely will, go to NBC.com or NBCnews.com every now and then. But yeah, most of the time I do it online. I think because of the freedom of choice that I have. All the headlines are here, and then I can decide, I want to know more about this, or I want to know more about this. Whereas TV dictates to you, and you kind of have to be a spectator rather than get to choose and participate.
You've just defined the whole transformation of the news business in a way.
Oh, well, there you go.
Because it is interactive, and that's
Right.
changed the relationship with the audience, right?
Yep, and I just went down to your, is it Reese News?
Reese News?
Yeah, which I really enjoyed, and I really I was saying if the print media and other things are contracting, there is a part of media that's expanding, and that part can really be found in what you're doing in Reese News.
That's right. That's why this is still the best place to go to school. One quick thing on 2012.
Yep.
What jumped out as the iconic sort of SNL moment in 2012 election? Because every cycle,
Right.
Saturday Night Live does something that carries us through in our traditions.
Right.
What was it, do you think, this year?
I don't know if there was one thing. We had a lot of fun with the debates, especially the vice presidential debate, because I feel like both of those, Paul Ryan and Joe Biden, are a bit more characters than Obama or Romney. I think we had a little more fun with Romney because Jason Sudeikis had such a great time, again, distilling what was funny about him, which was kind of his rich guy aloofness, and kind of just turning that into caricature. But
Obama's tough, isn't he?
he is tough. And again, I talk about this a little bit tonight. He's so professional, slightly calculated. His emotions rarely, you rarely get to see emotions or attitude from him, that he's a hard guy to parody. So what we tried to do was to parody the issues around him. Let's not necessarily make fun of his personality, but let's put him in a town hall where it ends up that everybody is unemployed, and kind of have him deal with that, So I guess where we found the comedy was around circumstance and issues around him, and where we found the comedy in Mitt Romney was in his personality.
Well, the other thing that I found, he came here on campus, Obama, and did the
remember.
Jimmy Fallon show.
That's right.
And he was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Parodying himself, perhaps, at that moment. So I thought he's almost able to do it when he's in control.
Yes, that's right.
But getting to the essence of who he was always seemed to be difficult.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't seem to like to give up control.
Yeah.
And I've seen him at the the press corps dinner, correspondence dinner, and he's great. He clearly has a really good sense of humor, and it seems like he might be a fun guy to have around one-on-one, but I don't think he necessarily is like a Bill Clinton who walks into a room and wants everybody to talk to him and have a great time. He seems like a guy who just wants to close the door and watch the Chicago Bulls. So.
Saturday Night Live, what do you think has been the secret? I mean, from Belushi, to Gilda, I mean, this is decades now.
Yeah.
And through all sorts of different comedy moments and the country's moments. What
Right.
has been the essence that's kept it such a top show?
It's evolved. It changes. The cast members come and go. That has helped it enormously. Lorne Michaels, who has run it in a very, with a certain kind of rigid set of rules, yet he's always open to new ideas and new things. We're doing more, to give you an example, this year we're doing more filmed and taped pieces than live pieces because, we're kind of taking what Andy Samberg and his crew did and kind of trying to move them into the future now that Andy Samberg and his crew have left. I think it's partly that. It's history, which is both a burden but also an enormous asset, helps us get great people to host and great people to come on. And then I had one other thing, but I forgot what it was.
And he's got to be an amazing man, Lorne Michaels.
Absolutely, yeah.
To be there and survived it so many years.
Yeah.
Television, that doesn't happen.
It's true, and that's probably another key to it, is he's got a great eye for talent, and sees things that other people don't see before, before someone turns into something. And he has always fostered individualism. As a writer, I get to produce my own piece. I get to call the shots in terms of the costumes, the set, talk to cast members. It's my piece, and so the success or failure of it is kind of on my shoulders, which not a lot of other shows do. He gives you that autonomy to succeed or fail on your own, which not only helps teach you, but helps give the show a lot of different voices, which brings in a broader audience.
And it's launched so many careers of those who you see as movie stars or all their years. What's next for you?
I don't know. I have a few things I've been working on. You might see me at SNL for another 5 to 10 years. I don't know. I've written a TV pilot for NBC, which I will know by the spring whether that's actually going to be on television or not. And I'm trying new things. I'm waiting for another door to open before I close the SNL door.
I would understand that, but there is that creativity in you that keeps growing.
Absolutely. I've written a few screenplays that have sold but never been made. I'm work with SNL cast members on side projects and things. Always continuing to try and find what's next. I just haven't totally zeroed in on it.
That's fantastic. And I want to say that you've been a fantastic supporter of the school.
Well, thanks.
And, that's the kind of alumni that are particularly special.
Well, thank you.
Huge successes, and don't forget, the kids who are coming behind them to inspire them to sort of always say, what's next for me?
Yeah, well, thanks. I'm glad to do it.
Bryan Tucker, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.